problems in the country are so serious. Economic problems, I mean, socio-economic, that they required a joint and agreed joint effort by all of the social partners. Government said that, business said that, the trade union said that, civil society said that. As a result of which, as you would recall, a process started to prepare to draft what was called a social compact, which meant all of us as South Africans would come together and say, what is it that we do together in order to overcome these socio-economic challenges? As part of that process, the government developed an economic recovery and reconstruction plan, which President Ramaphosa, I remember, put to joint sitting of Parliament, I think in October 2020, and said from the point of view of government, this is what needs to happen. The social partners need to get together to achieve the following things. I think that was in October. In July of the same year, the business section, the social partner business, made their own proposal about the same question, what is to be done about the economy, and presented their proposal in July 2020. So we had these two proposals, which were part of this discussion by the social partners. July 2020, business says, let's do this, and government in October says, let's do that. In terms of the broad principles, these two programs don't differ. The importance, for instance, of investment in infrastructure would be emphasized in both documents, and other matters of this kind. There was a meeting, one of the meetings I attended, and I say at the meeting, my view about this process, that process, was when we looked at the government program, it was 32 pages. Dr. Close. When I looked at the government program, at the business one, it was 132 pages. So I said to the meeting that it seems to me that more work was done by the business people to detail what it is that needed to be done. And so in terms of the negotiations through that NEDLEC process, why don't we take the government plan as a vision? This is where we want to get to. And use the business one to negotiate among ourselves. I remember President Ramaphosa saying at the end of the speech, he said I was correct about the submission of business. A business indeed had made a submission, but I was wrong in one respect, which was that the business plan was not 132 pages, but was 1,000 pages. One of the striking things about the business proposal is that they say, this is what we propose in detail should happen to the South African economy over a 3-year period. At the end of that, we look at what has happened and then do another 3-year program. And they said the program we're proposing over a 3-year period would cost 3.2 trillion rand. 3.2 trillion. And they said, the private sector, we commit ourselves to invest 1 trillion rand over that 3-year period. And the public sector would have to find the other 2.2 trillion. So I said, this is 2020, the very, very first time that the private sector in this country had ever made such a commitment since 1994. It was the very, very first time in 2020 that the private sector would say we commit ourselves to invest in the South African economy. So I was saying that what the government should do is really to put that commitment in the pocket and insist and do whatever is necessary to make sure that it actually happens. That process, as I think everybody knows, disappeared somewhere. It vanished. No social compact. And I think as a country we lost this commitment of this huge investment by the private sector in the economy. I'm raising that, Francois, to say I think that's where we need to go back to. I think the GNU needs to say there's that process to try and elaborate a social compact, which for some reason got abandoned somewhere, and yet a lot of preparatory work had been done. Why don't we go back to that in order to give substance to the MTDP, to the Medium-Term Development Plan, substance which does not exist in the current plan? That's where I would go. Because indeed, to discuss this other matter that we're raising, about the budget and VAT and all of that, it's clear that in terms of the state revenues, the fiscal matters, the generation of the revenues that the state needs to impact on development and other things, we are not going to be able to solve this problem in the absence of in the presence of a stagnant economy. Doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter whether we say now, do we raise VAT or do we raise income tax or whatever you want to do. You're going to run into problems in a situation where the economy is stagnant. The additional resources that the state needs must come from a larger economy. Hence the critical importance of ensuring that we don't have wish lists which we call development plans, but actual plans. Actual plan which says in a year's time we want to be from here to there. And part of what that business plan did, it said, within this next 3 years, if we do the following things, we will invest $1 trillion, government, you invest the rest, and at the end of the 3 years, we should have created so many new jobs. We will have expanded the money going to the fiscals by so much. Things that are measurable. With commitments that you are business, you are government, you are trade union or whatever, with commitments that can be met. I'm saying that I think that's where we need to go back to that. The medium-term development plan is not going to help us. Now, whether the government of national unity thinks the way I think, I don't know. But I'm saying as a country we need to get back to a situation where we do actual planning about the economic future. And not depend on visions which we think will implement themselves. Visions don't. They are necessary, but they don't implement themselves.